I'm kind of afraid to mount them. Like, I've never had nice wheels. I always chew up the rims when I mount. My wife was like, how'd you get the money to buy that lift? And I was like, got rid of a car you didn't know about.
Yo. So in most of our YouTube videos, we've featured like 70% of the staff that works for GRIDLIFE. And so we were talking about it and we wanted to make an effort to show more of the faces that are part of the core team of GRIDLIFE. And so in this little episode, we're gonna be going to Adam Jabay's home domicile. If you don't know Adam, he is the co-founder of GRIDLIFE and also the Motorsports Director. It's a very, very large part of GRIDLIFE and the culture that is GRIDLIFE. We thought it was important to go bug him, ask him questions about himself, his cars, his journey into cars and whatnot, and just like bug him because he's probably doing more important stuff. And we need to make a YouTube video. Let's go.
So purple that I put sign vinyl on it, and I don't think that one color red's very good because it's not good. 14-inch SSRs. They're the lightest wheels you've ever felt, man. This is what I live my regular life in. When I work my other job. Bought this truck brand new in 05. I dropped a ladder on it in 2021. And then about a decade ago, the 6-liter Power Stroke blew up. So I built my own engine mounts and my own header and stuff and put a 5.9 Cummins in with a stick. And going to VIR one time with 2 cars on a flatbed, it got 19 miles per gallon. So that was dope. But yeah, smokes, leaks, gets great MPGs. What's up? I'm Adam Jabaay. I'm the co-founder and Motorsports Director of GRIDLIFE. This is my garage. They made me sit down and I don't know what to do with my hands. Yeah, what got me into cars was my best friend who I rode BMX with in town here. He had an old Honda Prelude in 93? Yeah, I think it was 93. The cool dashboard, had like the first LCD gauge cluster or whatever. His uncle sprayed some sick graphics on it. This is like pre-Fast and Furious, but like definitely post 80s graphics, and they were kind of like an 80s, 90s graphics. It was slammed and had clear white taillights, like the white ones. I just thought it was so dope. We were like 17. It was the coolest thing. And then his brother built a orange and white EF hatchback, and it was painted like orange from above the belt line. It was OEM white below, and it had like cool laser graphics separating the two colors. And I thought, man, I don't love those colors, but the car is dope. I love the body lines of it. And that car actually comes to Honda meets though. Like the current owner like now has a GSR swap with a Jackson Racing blower and comes to West Michigan Honda meets. So that's what got me into these cars. And then I bought a white hatchback from his dealership. His family owns a little used car dealer. And yeah, just started modding it. So. My first experience on track was actually a customer of mine in the construction business. I was kind of like dabbling in college a little bit still. Went and did some glass at his house, and he had I think it was a production class SCCA Miata, and like the windshield cut off and stuff. Really cool car. And he was racing at Gingerman, and I had been to Gingerman for a Michigan Volkswagen Enthusiast Day, I believe. So I went there and I like crewed a little bit for him, like saw a race, and this was probably 2001, 2 maybe? Yeah, that was my first time like seeing it. I'd done some laps at that Michigan Volkswagen Day, but then we just kind of figured out that you can rent it and like use it if you give them money. So that's how that kind of came about. But I'd done a couple of track days before that, but mainly like a customer having a race car, inviting me out, and yeah, that's how we got there. I bought this thing when I was 19, and so that would have been 2002. Yeah, this was my replacement for the white hatchback. I actually bought it with a blown motor from its original owner, but it was rust-free. The paint was not that great. I actually buffed this whole side back into condition like by hand in college. It was super chalky. I took the motor out of the crashed white car and we put it into this, and we didn't know what we were doing. we actually pulled the engine out of the white car with the CVs attached to it. And we didn't know you could take them out of the transmission. Somehow we got them out and got them back into this car without even taking the CVs apart. Like unhooked them, folded them down. We didn't know what we were doing. Most of the parts on the car are used or like OEM. Like the spoon rotors are used, the tires are, I always get used tires from my friends. The engine's stock internals, but got this fancy little turbo. It's a Zona rotor turbo. Somebody had got it in trade, a shop, Mark, who drives with us at Honda Meet. He was like, hey, you want this tiny turbo? You're the only one with a D series. And it's probably perfect for that. So bought that used. The trans, a buddy of mine built it. It's got a really close ratio, 1/4, clutch type final drive, or clutch type diff. The only new thing is like the coilovers. Everything else is kind of used. Coilovers and the ECU. Yeah, my buddy Kyle helped with the welding, the fab work on the turbo setup. I really like the cool little bellows thing here on the wastegate. I did a reroute or an internal dump wastegate so you don't get that like blap blap noise. Frame rail is actually modified right here for when I used to have a F-series motor mated to a D-series trans. So if you see that crazy frame rail, I did that like in 06 because the F-series motors were wider. So Accord F-series, not S2000 F-series. And the main thing that I wanted to design with the cage was make it like easy to get out. So it's a dropping V design and it penetrates the B pillar there. I thought about if somebody T-bones me, I want the energy to disperse into the cage versus me, obviously. So it connects and there's some gusseting in the back right there. But this bar connects all the way up to the shock tower bar. Yeah, a lot of that thought. And the seats moved back 14 inches so that I can use the entire window to get out even with a containment seat. Because being like 6'3" and 200 some pounds, like I don't want to get stuck in a fire. I want to climb out the window. In 09, it was randomly featured in Super Street magazine. Yeah, it had a turbo Accord motor in it, and this is dirty because my exhaust used to kick up at an angle. And it was actually that motor down there with the ITBs on it. But yeah, it ran low 11s, but trapped like almost 9-second traps, or trapped like 130s. It was real fast in a straight line. But this is from when I crashed it at CMP. You can see the wrinkles right there, actually. I must have been wrong. The driver's side's original, not the passenger. Oh, this was paintless dent repair, actually. And that's my old CRX. I should have never sold that car. I sold that car to build this car. That car loved being a race car. That car loved being a race car. Chris and we didn't know each other until 2001, I think, and maybe 2000. No, it was 2001. In my first year of college, he left a note on my white hatchback at Calvin College parking lot in Grand Rapids, Michigan, because we were both attending a Jimmy Eat World concert. And he was like, "Hi, nice car. If you ever need parts, call me." And it wasn't his number, it was our buddy Luke's number, actually. I think, I don't remember. But they were making a run up to Canada once a year to pick up like JDM engines. So they had a lot of engines laying around. They were a few years older than me. I needed a 5-speed transmission for this car that summer. And when I met them at, there was a huge parking lot meet in Grand Rapids at Rogers Plaza. And I met them there one night, and yeah, that's where we met. Dude, absolutely necessary. Chris and I did about 10 years of West Michigan Honda Meet. Started out with a bunch of buddies, and then pretty soon it was just like us doing it. And then we were putting a hitch on, what's his name, Kurt from Floster-Damas. We were putting a hitch on his Honda Element and at my parents' house. And I hadn't met Kurt before. They knew each other through mopeds. And Chris was like, "Hey, I want to do another event." I think it was that night. It was a night that we were working in the garage. And I want to like bring all of our friends, because we had friends that were in all kinds of the segments of car culture. You know, we had show car buddies. We had met some drift car dudes when he was helping on a Floster-Damas video. I forget what the video was. It's a cool video too. And I had some autocross buddies, I had some road race buddies. We were doing track days. I was instructing all over the Midwest and East Coast doing track days just to get seat time. And so we kind of made this party with music as the glue. So that was the first one. And then it just built and built. That was 2014. And then 15, I think we did 2 events, 3 events in 16 maybe. And then, yeah, off to the races. So GRIDLIFE's had obviously a lot of events. Probably my favorite day ever. I mean, it's hard to say. There's a lot of really good days, but one of my most memorable days was I was stuck on the live stream during the first GLTC race. Tom O'Gorman was carrying most of the weight, but once we got through, it was a 5-race weekend, that first weekend, and all the racers were like, man, 5 races is way too much. Once we got through those 5 races, and it was like buttery clean, and everyone was so stoked. It was like 30 cars, 28 cars or something. That was maybe one of the best feelings I've ever had. Like, it was so much, nerves were in my stomach leading up to the first one. And probably the worst moment, Sean was probably there. Creature, you might have been there. The crazy Hurricane GRIDLIFE at Midwest Festival. A bunch of years ago, I was standing out on the racetrack, effectively like blending drift cars on at the blend line at turn 2, or cleaning something up, I don't remember. And I looked up over turn 2, and it looked like the spaceship from Independence Day was coming, because the cloud was so big, it was like a shelf cloud, black as could be, and then like within about 30 seconds, like all the canopies in the paddock got thrown onto the racetrack. It was utterly terrible. It was just a mess of a cleanup. It was terrible. Luckily, nobody got hurt, I don't think. Some people got a little injured, but a couple of windshields got punctured by tents, but everybody made it out, so that was a hard one. Oh, jeez, where'd you find that? Yeah, where'd you find that? So we rode BMX a lot, like tons of BMX since I was maybe 14. That was how I met a lot of my car buddies. We built a ramp. My buddy's in-laws had a pond, and he lives there now. That was the dude who got me into cars, Dave. We built a ramp on his little dock and his pond behind his house. Yeah, we just used to huck bikes into it. So it hurt when you hit the water, but I always hucked the hardest and the highest. Everybody else like did tricks, and I was just like, I'm gonna go 30 feet.